Welcome back, listeners. Here for another episode of Adventures Beyond the Horizon. I know you enjoy it, and I do too. I'm here joined by my co-host, John. Say hello, John.
Hello.
So, we have a pretty good episode today. We're going to be talking about our recent adventures, and me going to Hawaii, and John, where did you go again?
I just went down to Oregon. We finally made it down that way. It's been a while. Mainly the reason was because up here we don't have any Raising Cane's, and the closest one is 2.5 hours away. And we're like, you know what? Make it a whole big deal. But first things first, I see you wearing a new cover. Is that new, or you just happen to have that for a while?
Oh, I've had this hat for a good bit, ever since our Colorado trip, which I refused to bring with me, which was a mistake. But it is what it is. I'm wearing it now. It's a nice little purchase from Amazon, and it has worked out for me relatively well. And I don't know, did we talk about your hat last time?
Yeah, we talked about that in great detail last time.
You
remember I was trying to go like this, and it was just
Yeah.
not a big. It was a fun ordeal.
Typical cowboy style. You got the cowboy style, I got the Indiana Jones style.
I wouldn't say this is cowboy style. The cowboy style, again, has like it on the top has 2 bars. You know how this one is like this?
He's pointing at it and then circling the top of his hat for all those listeners. But yes, I get what you're saying. But anyways, yeah, so we're going to be talking about our recent travels. It's not necessarily going to be overlanding related. I figured let's change it up a little bit and let's talk about places we went to. So for now, let's start with you, John. So you went down to Oregon. What exactly did you do down there?
Again, we went to Raising Cane's, which is in Vancouver, Washington. I haven't had Raising Cane's in forever, so I had to get the gigantic, the big one, the one with the 6.
That's...
Titanic?
Oh, they have a 6 option? I thought it was only 4.
Nope, they have a 6 option.
Well, that has eluded me because I've only seen the big box, which has 4 tenders in it, which I will add, Raising Cane's is not as good as Zaxby's.
I miss Zaxby's. I like the chicken better at
Raising Cane's just feels more simple and flat to me. Zaxby's has that pop of flavor and has more options.
Funny story about Raising Cane's. I think we've kind of had this conversation, but the whole reason why Raising Cane's is a company is because the guy who created it was in college for business, and he had to make up a business proposition for one of his projects.
Oh, yeah,
And
I remember this.
he got an F on it, which was his business that he currently owns today. His professor said, you can't have just a company that only sells chicken tenders. You can't do that. It won't make a living. It's not good at all. And now here he is today, thriving.
Well, tell us about your Oregon trip then.
Sorry, there's another little neat fact I want to go into real quick. So they got their name, Raising Cane's, is because of the dog that was always hanging around. The owner's dog, Cane.
Interesting.
And they decided, well, why not Raising Cane's?
Interesting. All right.
Little another side fact. Okay, yeah, so driving down to Oregon, stopping at Raising Cane's in Vancouver, Washington, which I found very funny. After we did that, we wanted to visit the Tillamook Cheese Factory, because how often do you get to see a cheese factory? It's completely free to go visit. It was pretty cool. In order to get there, we had to drive through the Tillamook Forest. I believe it's the state forest. We made a lot of stops along the creek and a couple stops that had like lookouts, like nice little views. The first one we stopped at, it was like, oh, you want to stop there? And we stopped, and it was like, what are we even looking at? And then we read the bulletin board. It's like, this forest was not a forest because we cut it all down. But then the students, they planted this forest again.
Were all the trees set in a row?
No, they weren't. It was scattered. Yeah, so we then made it to the Tillamook Cheese Factory, explored there for a couple hours, and of course, we bought cheese. We actually had dinner at the cheese factory.
Did you have cheese?
I had cheese curds. Best cheese curds I've ever had. You know how much of a fan I am of cheese curds.
Yes, I know. With you being a northern boy, it doesn't surprise me.
I never had cheese curds until I made it to the South.
That's weird, but okay. It's in your blood. You should have liked it because you're from the north anyways.
Yeah, that's probably why I do. I hate sweet tea with passion.
Oh my god, these are fighting words, my friend. Us true
Oh, I
Southerners
know
just
they
slap you right in the face. Take that sugar like you should.
are. The sugar. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yep.
Just eat it. Just eat it. It's a drink. It's supposed to be a drink.
Take a
Just chew.
spoonful of sugar. That's all you need. It's delicious.
I hate tea flavor, so sweet tea doesn't help.
Just add a little bit of lemon. That's what my grandpa does.
After we were done visiting the Tillamook Cheese Factory, I wanted to go camping, but couldn't really.
Why?
The day before we were supposed to leave, Olivia's making her lunch, chopping up some celery, and then she nearly chops off her fingertip.
Yeah, I know Trevor told me about that one.
It was disgusting.
Oh, I'm sure.
Here, I'll draw a line about how much she chopped off. Nearly chopped off.
So pretty much, ew, God.
Yeah.
So now
It's
her
gnarly.
thumb is just slightly shorter than it was.
No, like when I say nearly, she chopped like she didn't go all the way through. Like she went all the way through, but not all the way to the edge. Yeah.
Okay.
She came up to me after going, "Ow, hey honey, I think I just cut my finger." And she walks over and there's blood just everywhere. I'm like, "Oh, that's disgusting."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that was fun to deal with.
That's the real reason why we couldn't go camping was because that wound was pretty fresh still.
Yeah, probably not a good thing to go outside in the dirt with the cut like that. What else did you do after?
That morning, we went back to sort of, I told you I got the 6-finger one? I could only eat 3 fingers for lunch at Raising Cane's.
Yeah.
So I saved the rest for breakfast. And then after we were done eating breakfast, we then went back to the Tillamook Cheese Factory, got ice cream, and then drove a little bit away to the Oregon Scenic Railroad, where we got to ride a train for about an hour. That was pretty cool. Took us along the Oregon coast, and we got to see some cool rock formations. They gave us some neat little history.
Did they serve any food on the train ride?
No, there was no food on the train ride
That sucks.
because it was so short, and it was also Easter at this point.
Was there a bunch of people there?
So it was kind of sprinkling where it was. So not a whole lot of people went because they only booked up the 2 rail carts that were indoors. Because there was one, because the train goes slow, you can sit outside.
Yeah.
Some people sat outside. If you brought your dog, you'd have to sit outside. So unfortunately, we left Henry at home, but he was in good hands with our roommate. We sat indoors, but at some points we went outside. It was a beautiful train ride. It was pretty cool. And then when we were done, we were actually able to go visit the cool rock formations. There was one I can't remember the name of, like the actual name, but the locals called it Arch Rock because there's a big arch in it and you can walk underneath it, sort of. It was a big pool, moon pool. Well, not moon pool.
It can't be anything as good as Booty Rock, though.
No, it was nowhere as good as Booty Rock. However, we did see the Dick Rock.
The Dick Rock, wow.
Yeah, it was a very small but chubby penis. It's like two round balls. I think I have a picture of it. I didn't take it exactly, but
I don't know if I want to see a picture of your rocky penis.
it's not my rocky penis. It's Oregon's rocky penis.
I don't know if I want to see a picture of Oregon's rocky penis.
There was another rock formation called Painted Rock. That's where all the seagulls like to go hang out.
I can see why it'd be called Painted Rock then.
Again, not the actual name. It's just what the local coasties call it.
Yeah. Well, I think Painted Rock fits it probably better.
Oh, yeah. When we were done visiting that rocky beach, we then drove along the Oregon coast. We actually stopped at a nice spot that overlooked the entire beach that we drove by. It was pretty cool. It was exceptionally amazing because we went up there and it was clear, and then we got to watch like the fog and the rain go into the beach, and it was really cool. So then we continued driving up, and then it cleared up again. Got to stop at a couple cool locations that are on the cliffs that overlook the beach. It was perfect.
Taking pictures?
Oh yeah, a lot of pictures on my my camera phone. And then we stopped at a beach called Cannon Beach, which we were able to go see the spot where they filmed part of the Goonies. It's called Haystack Rock.
This is still all within the train ride, right?
No, we finished the train ride. It was only an hour. And then we
just drove to these other places.
Yeah, we drove along the coast to see these places. So usually the train ride is about 2.5 hours long, but since it was the Easter extravaganza, it was only an hour long.
That doesn't seem like a good deal.
It was still really cool. Little neat fact, and got to ride a train. It was Olivia's first time, so.
I haven't ridden a train, so good on y'all. I really want to. There's one in Colorado that goes through the canyons here, and I've been wanting to do. I just haven't had someone to do it with, nor the time.
You could definitely make like a weekend trip out of it. You know, go to the canyon port and then, like camp or something.
Yeah, but it'd still be kind of weird to do it by yourself,
I agree.
So.
I will only be there for a weekend.
We're not doing a freaking train ride for a weekend. We have our
spot. Have to be a whole weekend.
We have our spot that we got to get to anyways.
Yeah.
And who knows if that's going to be open, especially. I mean, it was open almost end of July, which would be a really, really busy season.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we saw a lot of people on that road anyway.
Yeah. I'm surprised that we even got that spot, but it looked like no one had been there for a long time. So maybe it might be our hidden treasure spot. Yeah,
I think it was also because of the giant puddle that scared off a bunch of people.
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me. But I know for a fact I'll be able to do that trail a lot better this year than I did last year.
Yeah. You might, depending on how we get there, it might just be Olivia and I. And I will have a motorcycle in the back. I don't know if I'm going to get a trailer hitch or if I'm just going to load it up in the back and call it good. All right, we're getting a little bit off the trail here. Let's reel it back again. So, visiting Haystack Rock. It was pretty cool. They didn't allow us to go up to the rock because it's part of some, Oregon protective wildlife something or other. Because a lot of puffins actually nest there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So it's always closed to the public? There's no you can go here at a certain time of year or something? Because I know there's a few places like that.
No, yeah, you can't actually walk up to the rock, but you can walk up to the rocks on the beach that lead up to there. But they didn't even want you walking on the rocks there because for some reason the wildlife was dying because of a bunch of sand. I don't know. Nature wasn't being naturey at the moment, so they didn't want human interference.
Gotcha.
When we were done at Haystack Rock, we went up to Peter Iredale Beach. Mm-hmm. At this point, I called you because I was having way too much fun not to share this.
Yeah. Did those little donuts in there with your all-wheel drive truck.
It was very difficult. I put it in sand mode and I couldn't spin it out. So it was pretty cool. And then I took it off sand mode, got rid of traction control, and then I was able to lock up the wheels.
Okay.
Yep. We drove on the beach for a while, sat down, stared at the beach. We didn't go swimming because it was warm, but the water was not.
And very different than Hawaii, because the water was very warm in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. So we finished driving we drove all the way up the beach. There's a shipwreck up there, an no-shit shipwreck. The Peter Irondale. That's what it is. That's why the beach is named after it. A little backstory about the Peter Iredale. It was a cargo ship that got run aground on that beach because of pretty much what was going on while we were visiting. It was a lot of mist and fog and just poor weather right there. So they're trying to head into the river that is in between Washington and Oregon, but they missed it and ran aground because they cut too close to the shoreline before they actually could make it. They were like a mile off.
That's still not too bad, but
unfortunate.
Yeah. That's why they make lighthouses, so you don't run aground like that.
Yeah, they didn't have a lighthouse there, though.
They should.
Interesting.
They should
have. Yeah. Nowadays, technology, we don't need lighthouses, radar, sonar, and all that.
Well, also just GPS in general, too.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, so that was my Oregon trip. We got to climb on the shipwreck a little bit. It was pretty cool.
Was it like... What was the condition of it? Was it just like parts scattered everywhere? Was it rusted away or what?
Okay, so the boat hit the beach and they did nothing to it except unload it and strip down some parts.
Okay.
That was about it. So like the boat frame is still there. Everything else, it seems like, got washed away.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's pretty cool.
Pretty rusted, pretty barnacle-y.
Barnacle.
All in all. Pretty cool.
Nice. So that was what? You said 3 hours away from your house?
So to Vancouver, Washington was about 3 hours.
Okay.
The reason why we spent the night in Oregon was so that way we didn't have to make... Just driving alone would be like 8 or 9 hours. So that's why we split it up into 2 days.
Okay. Yeah, it's,
Excuse me. So this one is technically more of an overlandy kind of journey.
Kind of.
But no
with
camping.
hotel stays.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fair enough. Sounds like you had a pretty good time.
Oh yeah. Now let me go ahead and hear about the Hawaiian beaches.
Oh Lord. So yes, I went to Hawaii just as a family vacation. Overall, it was pretty fun. There's a few things I wish that I had more time for there, but just with everything that we packed in and then having to compensate for family and different little things here and there, we couldn't do everything that I wanted to do. But overall, it was pretty fun. First off, I'll start off with, I went snorkeling. Of course, that's the thing that everybody does in Hawaii. I saw a good amount of fish, yellow stripes. I saw an eel. It had its mouth wide open. Well, okay. I'll be clear about this.
Mouth wide open. Sorry.
I didn't see the eel. It was my, uncle that saw the eel. And it had its mouth wide open, looking at him, looking like it's gonna bite him. And it was a small eel, but it was just sitting there, looking at him. And as he was swimming by, just doing his snorkeling thing. Like I said, I saw different fish, yellow and black stripes, schools of fish. And while I was there, I was swimming, and then a bunch of these clear, bigger fish, it was a school of them, just started swimming around me. It was really weird, and I just stopped and just watched them as they were swimming around me. It was really, really cool.
Nice. So you said you went snorkeling. How well were you snorkeling? Did you have to just be on the surface and breathing the entire time, or were you able to get your breath a couple of times and then go down and swim with the fish and then come back up? Or
well, where I went snorkeling wasn't super deep. It was just right off the beach, essentially. So there was really no point in trying to hold my breath and then go down deeper, because it wasn't deep enough really for that. Overall it went fine. There was a few times where a wave came and I guess I didn't have the snorkel tube right, and it went right into my tube and I just inhaled all that seawater. It was awful. Hours later, I could still feel that salt in my lungs. It was not fun. But it only happened to me, I think, 2 or 3 times within the whole trip span. That was fine.
So did you go on a snorkeling tour, or was this just hey, we bought snorkeling gear, let's go?
No, we just rented snorkeling equipment and then went to the beach. It would have been cool to do a snorkeling tour, because then I could see bigger fish. Yeah. And it would have been deeper.
Sea turtles. Didn't you I was going to ask a question that might have spoiled something. I'll just let you continue. I think you already told me something.
Well, if I don't say anything about it, bring it up. Is it referring to the snorkeling stuff?
Something about a turtle?
Oh, yes. There were some sea turtles on the beach that were laying... No, they weren't laying eggs. They were... Apparently they come in every day and just sunbathe or whatnot. They sit on the beach. There's like 4 of them on the beach. We watched them, and then whenever I went into the water one time, just a random sea turtle decided to swim right next to me. And I followed it all the way out as far as I could before the lifeguard told me not to go any further. But that was really cool. That was my favorite part about the whole entire thing. At least snorkeling wise.
Yeah. Okay, so that was part of the snorkeling?
That was part of the snorkeling, yes.
Okay.
It was shallow water. It was cool. And then, of course, I was being a beach bum. Sat on the beach with my shirt off, sitting in a chair, soaking in the sun, as everybody does in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't spend too much time at the beach, other than if I was snorkeling. Yeah, it was fine. There was a hot dog store or restaurant. I don't know what it's called. It's a little hole in the wall, but they do hot dogs very differently. They cut a hole in the middle of the bun, so they don't open the bun up. They just cut a hole in the middle, shove the hot dog in there with some jelly.
Okay.
And you eat it that way. It was actually pretty good. It was strange to eat a hot dog with jelly, but it was pretty good.
That's funny that you say that, because last night I had a very weird dream. You saying this reminded me of it.
Uh-huh.
And it was, I was working at a factory for some reason, kind of like the Tillamook cheese factory.
Uh-huh.
However, it was putting hot dogs in bread. And what they had to do was cut out the center and put the hot dog in it. And it wasn't like, normal size hot dogs. It was like hot dogs.
The big wieners.
Yeah, and like they would, for some reason they didn't have the process completely automated. You actually physically had to put the hot dog in the bun. Super weird. But the automated process was making the hot dogs and cooking them, and the bread that was cut out. And towards the end of my shift, the last 4 pieces of bread didn't get the hole cut out properly. So I started to cut it out with a knife. The bread makers came over and was like, "How dare you? That's sacrilegious. You gotta finger it like this." And I'll just come out and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, that's a weird dream.
Yeah.
Very, very weird dream, my friend.
Yeah.
I wonder what the message was behind that one.
I guess I just gotta put some dogs in some buns.
You should make some hot dogs. We should make some hot dogs on the camping trip.
Yeah, we should.
Back to the Hawaii trip. We stayed at a beautiful house. It was an Airbnb. It had 4 bedrooms. All of us got our own rooms, but me and my brother and my aunt's son shared a room. It was like 4 bunk bed, technically 2 bunk beds, but they were put together, so it was custom made for this room.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool, very comfortable, big giant TV in the room, whatever. And it had a pool in the backyard, which we swam in pretty much most of the trip. Had a bunch of drinks back there. It was cool. They had a hot tub in the pool, which once you turn on the spa and everything, it warmed the pool up as well as the hot tub. It was pretty sweet. We did that for a while, and they had a TV outside, so we were playing some music through the TV. It was pretty nice. I had a golf course in the back behind the house, and the town was called Kaloa. Excuse me if I'm saying that wrong. Hawaiian words are a little harder to say right, for me at least. So it was a pretty cool place. I enjoyed it. It was not cheap, but it was fun. I like the house. Base for our Hawaii trip. And then we also went to, this is going to be out of order. We went to a canyon that they had on the island. It was very weird, but it was huge. This thing was huge. It was on the western side of the island. It's called, I'm going to pronounce this horribly wrong, Wamia Canyon State Park is what the park was called. It's huge. It's probably 1/3 of the island is a state park. So it was pretty cool. We only went to the lookout. I wanted to hike some, but we just didn't have time because, like I said, all the family stuff, having to plan for everybody, it just didn't work out. Then after the state park, we went to this town. This town is actually, Lilo and Stitch was based off of this town. So they had like Lilo and Stitch murals and touristy stuff and all that stuff. But there was this one restaurant there. I forget what it's called, but it's really, really good. Had really good sushi. I had a chicken sandwich. I forget exactly what the sandwich was called, but it was super good. Everybody else had like sushi rolls, and it even made my uncle cry. That's how good the sushi was, which is interesting. But yeah.
Are you sure he wasn't crying because of, like, being under the weather of certain devices?
I'm very sure it wasn't that.
Oh.
Very, very sure.
So it was that good of a sushi.
Oh, it was really good. I had some of it. It was really good. He even left a review saying that it made him cry, made him so emotional of how good it was. It was kind of funny. But yeah, that town was cool. We went in that town there was a shop. It was more of like a kids education center / arts theater type thing. It was a little shop. It had a bunch of history about the town, history about the shop itself, some homage to a congressman that represented Hawaii who was originally from Japan, something like that. It's really interesting. She gave my little brother a map of the island for free, which was kind of cool. Yeah, that town was really cool. I forget the name of it, so excuse me if you're from that town. I'm sorry, but I would go there again.
So, before we continue, you keep saying little brother. Every time I think your little brother, I think of one of the last times I saw him, when he was I think 10.
Oh yeah, no, he's 17 now. His birthday was while we were in Hawaii.
Oh, that must have been pretty epic for him.
Yeah. He seemed to like it. I would love a Hawaii birthday trip,
Turning 17. Sweet 17.
It's so weird.
He's graduating high school next year, huh?
Yeah. It is really weird to see that. And I was talking about it with my mom, and I was like, you're getting older too. And she's like, don't remind me. But we all enjoyed that town. So moving on to the next thing. We went to this area in the northern side of the island. Oh, the island is also called Kauai, by the way. We went to the northern side and we found this cave. It's called Manahalo Dry Cave. Really cool. My mom and I went. It's like a huge cave. The ceiling of the cave was probably 10-12 feet up, and then it slowly goes in further and further as you walk in. Off to the left as you go in, there it gets really, really small there, so eventually you have to get on your hands and knees, but you can go deeper into this cave, and my mom and I did that. It was really cool.
So you're saying you went spelunking?
Do you know what spelunking is? I don't think that's called spelunking.
Cave diving? Yeah.
Cave diving is when you're in water.
No.
Yeah. Cave exploring is when you're in dry land. Cave diving is when you're in water.
The exploration of caves, especially as a hobby.
Look up cave diving. Look at that, all underwater.
Yeah. Cave diving, spelunking. So technically that's spelunking.
I guess technically. But we got to a point where we would have had to get on our belly crawl if we wanted to go any further, and we were not doing all that.
So like this guy?
Yeah. No, I was not going to be doing all that, especially with only my phone light and sandals and a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. So the reason why I actually I didn't do a whole bunch of research. I just saw something on iFunny. The big cave diver memes, and it was, oh, these cave divers, they'll go into like anything, and they'll show just like a pair of working boots into like a crack of something.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to do that. I mean, I would love to go cave exploring, but if I have to like shimmy through a crack, I am not doing that. I would freak out.
So do you know why that like became a big meme?
No, I know a few people have died that way.
Yeah, there was one specific incident that everybody was kind of making fun of. There's a picture of him, of just his feet. Kind of like the pictures I was just showing you.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's like, oh, that's dumb. Why would anybody do that? And then that's how it really became the big meme.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, I looked it up, and he got stuck upside down for a long time. He got unstuck twice, but then the systems to break him out broke, and then he fell back in.
Well, that sucks. That would not be me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. What you guys were doing, that's enough spelunking for me.
Yeah, no, that was as far as my mom and I were willing to go. And then after that, we drove a little bit back, not far, it was probably like 5 minutes, to another beach that we walked down. It was kind of separate, so the tide was coming in. It was kind of separated because there was the beach. It had a kind of like a river thing going through it. It wasn't a river, but some water flowing, separating this beach and then a sandbar. So we went through that, got on the sandbar, and just kind of walked down that for a while. And it was just nice. It was windy. You got some sea spray. It was nice. I mean, there's not much to say about that, and I don't know. I mean, that was cool by itself.
Did you end up ever going to go visit the Arizona that's out there? The boat that got sunk in port because of Pearl Harbor?
We weren't on Pearl Harbor. That was a totally different island.
Different island,
This was more of a
cool World War II stuff, but no.
I wanted to go to Pearl Harbor, but we just didn't have time. There's just so much to do. There's just so much to do because we would have had to island hop, and we would have had to get on a plane, and that would have been a whole entire day event. It just didn't work out. But we did go to a luau, which was pretty cool. To me, luau's like that. It was at a hotel. It felt very corporate, which I guess is fine because that's kind of the image we see about with luau's. And that's how islanders make money, by entertainment. Mm-hmm. And the main lady that was offering the music stuff, her father did a lot of luau's for hotels and whatnot, and also met Elvis and recorded some music with him, which that was pretty cool. Cool little fact. And she was a backup singer for one of their songs. Luau had really good food. I drank a lot of Mai Tais there. I got kind of drunk, but I wasn't driving, so I didn't care. Kind of drunk. I had like 4 or 5 Mai Tais when I was there. So it was the Mai Tais were okay there. I had better ones whenever I went somewhere else. They had food there, and they had this teriyaki steak. Was really, really good. I wish I could have it again. So good. But that was my favorite thing food-wise there. And they did fire dances, sang, did the regular Hawaiian dances. That's really all I have to say about the luau. We took some pictures. Usual stuff. My uncle went up and danced with them on stage, which was funny. And they also allowed us to play their instruments for a little bit right before and do the twirly things. You know how they twirl the ropes that are on fire and whatnot?
Yeah, the fireballs.
Yeah, so they had versions of that weren't lit on fire that kids could just twirl around and do their own little thing with. But that's really all I have to say about the luau. I mean, it was cool overall. And then at some point, me and my uncle
No, I was just gonna ask. I know every Friday night they do fireworks somewhere. Did you end up ever seeing any?
No.
Okay.
It was raining most of the day on Friday anyways, so. Either way. This island was more of like the older, chiller island. It wasn't super aimed towards tourists or anything.
Okay.
And these houses on the island, I gotta say, super expensive. I think the house we stayed at had to be at least $2 million.
Damn.
Yeah, and most of those houses in there is not a house in there that's less than $1 million. You will not find a house there that's less than $1 million. That was cool.
I guess we aren't moving to Hawaii then, huh?
I'm sure there's areas you could live in, but not where we stayed. That's for sure.
Beach bum it.
You gotta either own a company, have a really freaking good job, and work remote. Otherwise, you're working the tourist areas, and you're living in an okay house, but still really expensive house. And you're on an island, so everything's expensive there. The one pineapple was $18.
But don't they grow the pineapple?
I know. I don't know why it was $18. But it was. I don't know, man.
Expensive
Yeah.
stuff right there.
We got all of our food that we bought just to cook from Walmart because it was the cheapest option.
Makes sense.
That was really it. I flew back home. Flight back home, we flew from our island to Honolulu. It's like a 35-minute flight. I had a 5-hour layover in Honolulu. That was fun to deal with. And then a 6-hour flight at I think it went out at 7:01. Flew through the night all the way to Salt Lake City. Got there at 3 in the morning. And stayed there for 4.5 hours. And then flew to Denver, which was an hour-and-a-half flight. I only got probably 3 hours of sleep that entire time.
Ugh.
So it was a little bit of adjustment whenever I got back to Denver and had to go back to work.
That must have not been fun.
No, I went to bed. Actually, I went to bed at 12 o'clock the night before work. And I somehow operated. Somehow.
Caffeine.
There was a few Red Bulls in there, yeah.
Have you ever drank a Bang? Man, those get your heart pumping.
I have not. I should try it.
I really like their Purple Haze. However, I think they had to change their formula a little bit ever since their lawsuit. But Rain is also pretty good. And they also have 300 milligrams. Get the orange creamsicle. Well, that one's pretty delicious.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll have to try it. But that was pretty much all of my Hawaiian trip. Overall, it was good, relaxing, and lots of Mai Tais. And green tea shots.
This is green tea shots. Yeah, I heard about that. I don't like tea, so I tried one.
It was actually pretty good. It goes down really smooth.
I know it does. I still hate the taste of tea.
When you're just trying to get a buzz, it works perfectly fine.
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, that was my Hawaii trip. Do you have anything to add about your trip? I'm pretty much set to go.
Nope. There's just, things that happen when you go adventuring beyond the horizon,
Indeed. Even over the ocean and beyond the horizon.
Exactly. Beyond the horizon. No, I'll end up finding my way over there sometime soon. Getting a pretty much paid trip to Hawaii. The only thing I'll have to pay for is food and my drink.
Well, I can tell you it's expensive. Just be prepared for that.
Hey, I don't have to pay for flight. I don't have to pay for lodging. I'll be fine.
All right. You'll see what I'm talking about. But Hawaii is very beautiful. It is a very beautiful state, and I can see why a lot of people go there. All right. Well, if we have nothing else to add, I think we can go ahead and close out this episode.
Yep. If you guys enjoyed, please leave us a like. If you guys want to listen to more, please follow. If there's anything you guys would like to hear, just go ahead and please shoot us an email, leave a comment. We'll see it. Trust us. We will see your comment.
Oh, yeah.
Please, please, please. Help us out,
We enjoy the interaction, and if you would like to interact with us in different areas, we have our social medias. We're actively doing stuff on YouTube now. We're actively doing stuff on Instagram. So go ahead and find us there. We'll talk to you. One of us, me
Oh,
or
yeah.
John.
For sure. Yeah, no, speaking of our YouTube, shameless plug here for ourselves. There is a couple episodes, or not episodes, a couple songs that are posted. I think we already talked about our outro song, Overlandin'. But Anthony just recently posted another one. It's the Reynolds Gang, which I think is getting a lot of traction. So if you haven't checked it out, please go check it out.
Yeah, it's actually called Running Wild or Runnin' Wild. It's about a true story.
Yeah.
It's about a true story, a legend in Colorado about the gang called Reynolds Gang. They were robbing stagecoaches, mines, and people to raise money for the Confederacy down south. So check that out. It's a pretty good song. I wrote it myself. Check it out. And until next time, keep your tires on the trail.
And we'll see you beyond the horizon. Peace.
Out.
Saturday morning, I wake up and see the sunrise. Pack the truck with recovery gear and supplies. Put my route in my GPS and play some tunes and sing it's time to go.